Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on Racing Grid with James and Max. I'm James.
I'm Max.
And today we're going to be talking about our top 10 driver predictions in the Drivers' Championship. So now I can imagine we're going to have some conflicting views here.
Yeah, we got together this morning and we thought, what would make a good video? And making our top 10 driver predictions for 2025 seemed pretty high up there, didn't it?
Yes, now we've already done a video on the inter-team battles, who will come out on top in each team. If you want to have a look at that, make sure to check out our two videos on that. We'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, now we thought we'd take a look at the positions of each driver in the championship in the top 10. So, Max, who was in 10th for you?
So, 10th place in terms of the points, Fernando Alonso in 10th place.
How come?
I think Aston Martin have been slipping. I think that they had a real chance to be top 3, top 4 in the Constructors last year. And I feel like they're having to work their way back. Alonso's got the potential to extract everything out of that car, but I think it's only going to be worth enough for 10th place in the Constructors.
I have gone for Pierre Gasly as my 10th place. And the reason I've gone for Gasly is because Alpine improved massively.
They did.
In the latter part of the 2024 season, didn't they? So I think they've got a good foundation to build off for 2025. And I just think with Gasly's experience, Gasly's speed, I think he's getting into the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. And I think he will finish 10th.
But you thought he was only 10th because I've actually gone him a little bit higher.
You've got
I won't tell you where, but I've gone a little bit higher.
But yeah, no, I still think Alpine have a bit of a way to go, but I definitely think they've got a good foundation to build off, and that's why I think he'll get into the top 10. But I don't think higher than 10th. Okay,
fair enough. Well, who did you put for 9th, James?
I put Fernando Alonso.
you put him in 9th for the same reasons as I mentioned.
Exactly, pretty much. I think Aston Martin, I still don't think they're going to have the best car in 2025. I think 2026 is where it's all going to be for them.
Yep.
But I still think 2025 Alonso can put together a decent season for Aston Martin. And two-time world champion, I think he'll get that car quite high up the grid on certain occasions. So that's why I think he's my number 9.
Okay. You might find my number 9 a bit controversial, as might the viewers, but I've put Liam Lawson.
Liam Lawson
in
as 9th.
Ninth
go on,
in the
explain
Drivers'
yourself.
Championship. It's going to take him a couple of races to get used to the car. Red Bull have been slipping, both their performance, strategy, the things just aren't going to plan at the moment. And we all know wind tunnel time's important, practice time's important, and once you get the car on the track in Bahrain in the new year, it's going to take a few races to fine tune it. I think Liam Lawson will have even more to do than that. He'll have to get used to the car, and he'll also have to try and improve the car. And so I think he's going to end up 9th place.
Well, let's move on to 8th.
Okay.
Who have you got in 8th?
Carlos Sainz.
You've got... Wow!
Carlos Sainz
in the Williams.
8th. I think he's so quick. He's already said he's super fast. I think if Max Verstappen was in a different car in the Constructors' Championship, I still think he would have come through the field in Brazil. Maybe not to win, but he would have come through because he's just a fantastic driver. I think Carlos Sainz has a similar attitude towards racecraft. I think he can really make the most of the car. He's fast, he takes the risk, and I think he's going to really prove himself in that championship.
Interesting. So you've gone with quite a bold prediction. Now, I might have gone with a bold prediction for maybe the wrong reasons here.
Who did you do?
I've gone for Kimi Antonelli.
Okay.
I've gone for Kimi Antonelli in 8th place. I just think Mercedes, it's going to be another one of those seasons where it's some of the races are good, some of the races are not so good, and it's just going to average out as being it could have been better. And I think it's going to be one of those seasons for 2025 with Mercedes. I think 2026, again, like Aston Martin, I think that's where it's all going to be with Mercedes. I think they've spoken very positively about the regulations, but I just think 2025, it's not. I can't see it being the best season for Mercedes. And Antonelli being new, getting used to things. That's why I've gone with him in 8th.
Okay. So I think it's going to be a good season for Mercedes, but I didn't have Antonelli even in my top 10.
You didn't even have him in your top 10?
I didn't think he's going to be in the top 10 in the Constructors. I back him. I think he's a great driver, but that Mercedes is a tough beast to control.
Wow.
Hamilton said it. They find it very difficult to control the balance.
Not even Antonelli in the top 10.
Not even the top 10.
Wow.
I think he'll prove me wrong, but not in my top 10.
Well, 7th.
7th, I've gone for Pierre Gasly.
Yep.
Pierre Gasly, he was on the podium in Brazil. He's been showing that he's been improving, and the car's also been improving with him. And I think that if Alpine continue on this trajectory, much like McLaren did at the middle of the season, they suddenly shot up from 11th and 12th in most races to then coming 1st and 2nd. So I really think that he could get well into the top 10 in terms of points.
Interesting for Pierre Gasly there. So yeah, no, you back him quite a lot, don't you? I still back Alpine to do well. I just don't think they're going to get higher than 10th. My 7th place is Liam Lawson.
Okay.
It is Liam Lawson. Lawson, I think this is going to be a big learning curve going to Red Bull. And I personally believe rivals have caught up big time. And I just don't think... I think Lawson's a quick driver, but I don't think Red Bull can have the quickest car. I think Lawson, as I say, is going to have a big learning curve. And I think finishing higher than 7th, I think could actually be a tough ask.
It could,
especially for a new Red Bull driver. So that's why I've gone with him.
And we also know that the Red Bull, they've said it multiple times in interviews, it doesn't perform well at certain tracks. It performs really well on the tracks that are race tracks that have been built for that, but on those street circuits, they really struggle.
Yeah. I mean, Monaco,
Baku, they've had their fair share of issues. So Liam Lawson getting used to how the car balances on different circuits is also going to be a bit of a challenge.
Interesting there with Lawson. But he's my number 7.
Okay. Well, my number 6, moving on to that one, is Oscar Piastri.
Wow, that low.
I think he's a great driver. He's not a rookie anymore. He's given Lando Norris his fair share of battles, which is great. But I just think that there are going to be some drivers up there that will put him in his place. And if he gets in the pack and if he gets in a battle, I think these other drivers will probably take the lead over him.
Okay. Well,
6 for you, James?
My number 6 is George Russell.
All right.
Again, it's the same reasoning with Antonelli in terms of I don't think the Mercedes car is going to be all that in 2025. 2026 is where it is for them. So, and as I said in a previous video, I think George Russell is going to come out on top compared to Antonelli in the championship.
Agreed.
In the inter-team battle. And that's why I think in the championship, I think Russell will finish above Antonelli. But again, I don't think Mercedes' car is going to be all that great. So he's my 6th place. So moving on to 5th place in the driver standings. Who have you gone for?
Who do you think I went for?
A Ferrari driver?
It was a Ferrari driver. It was a Ferrari driver.
It's Hamilton, isn't it?
It's Hamilton. I put Hamilton in 5th place. I have. He's the greatest of all time. You know that. But his performances at the end of last season were nothing to be admirable of. He overtook his teammate on the last lap of Abu Dhabi. That was brilliant. But his teammate outqualified him pretty much every single time. I think getting into a new car and understanding how it works. Charles Leclerc already has an abundance of experience in that car. He knows how it works, and so he's definitely going to place higher than Hamilton. But yeah, I put Hamilton at 5th place for that reason.
Okay, well, I've also gone with the Ferrari driver.
But you went Leclerc.
Well, I've gone with
you went the other way around.
I've gone the other way around. But Leclerc's a great driver. I just think Ferrari, I can't imagine this being their season. I still think they'll have some good moments, but I think... for some reason, I just think the car, probably won't be fully up there this season, which is a shame. But I've just got that gut feeling that it's not going to be the case. So the reason I've gone with Leclerc in 5th is just because, as you said, Hamilton's one of the greatest of all time. He's won 7 world titles. I just think Leclerc, who is also a phenomenally quick driver, I just don't think he's going to get the better of Hamilton this season. So that's why I've gone with Leclerc in 5th. So
you think Hamilton's performances at Mercedes in the last couple of races of the season was because he was ready to move on to that next
look
chapter?
at the last few races. Las Vegas. He went from 10th to 2nd. He won 2 races during that year as well. I think in Abu Dhabi he put in a great comeback drive after a difficult qualifying. Hamilton's speed I don't think has gone anywhere. I just think, that Mercedes, has been a tough car over the past few years, since these new rules have come into force. And as a result, I just think, maybe Hamilton, has a struggle with it. But I just think, fresh start, one of the greatest drivers of all time, I can just imagine him finishing higher than Leclerc, which is why I've gone with Leclerc in fifth.
But, moving on to fourth place, I went for George Russell in
You
fourth.
went for George.
I think he's a great driver. He's very consistent. He knows how to qualify well. If he can qualify well and get on that pole position or even top 3, they have the pace to keep that position. It will be hard for someone to get past them really, really easily. And I feel like Mercedes have one of the best strategy teams on the grid. And so I think that along with George Russell just outright pace, he'll be up there in the points.
Interesting you've gone for that. I have gone for Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
I've gone for Lewis Hamilton in fourth. I think, as I said with Charles Leclerc prediction, I think Ferrari, it's not going to be their year this year. Some good moments, but yeah, I just think for the same reasons I've outlined about the Ferrari car in general, I think Hamilton will finish fourth.
Interesting.
Fourth. But for third place...
We're moving on to the top 3. These are the big ones. These are the big ones.
Top 3,
James.
I've gone for Max Verstappen in third.
I also went for Max Verstappen.
You got... Oh, right.
We went for the same. We both think third.
So I'll go first. So the reason I've gone for Verstappen in third is because I think rivals have caught up to Red Bull. I think Max is an exceptionally quick driver.
He is.
But I just think with rivals having caught up to Red Bull and with that Red Bull car having looked pretty difficult at lots of tracks in 2024, have they fixed that in 2025? It's not a lot of change between the two years in terms of rule changes. So has it all been fixed? Probably not all of it. And I think, Verstappen will outperform the car, as you'd expect him to. But I just don't see him finishing higher than third place.
I agree. And I think also with that loss of Adrian Newey, he was on the team at the end of 2024 season. And with the fact there's no regulation changes, the car's maybe just going to continue to go down in terms of its pace. And who knows in 2026 if they're actually going to get the car right without the help of Adrian Newey kind of at the forefront. So for that year, who knows, maybe Aston Martin could take the top spot in 2026.
Well, that's up for debate. But in terms of this video, I think we both agree that Red Bull will have a quick car, but it will struggle at certain tracks, and Verstappen will outperform it and get that car to third.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're both agreed on that.
We're both agreed on that.
So the top 2, who's your second place?
My second place is Lando Norris.
Lando.
You went for Lando too?
Nope.
No, you didn't go for Lando?
Nope.
Okay. He's very quick, obviously. He made quite a few mistakes last season, which could have cost him the Constructors. There were a couple of races, down to strategy, I guess. In Brazil, they pitted. He had some horrible last laps, but I never thought he was going to win that race. It always looked like it was George Russell who was going to probably take that victory if they hadn't have pitted. I just think that if they can secure another year as the Constructors' Championships, it would be great. But I think there's one person who I would say will pip Lando Norris this season to the championship.
Interesting. I have gone with Oscar Piastri
for second.
In second place. Now, the reason I've gone with Piastri in second is because McLaren, right, at that car since Miami in 2024, it's exceptional.
It is.
And I with so little rule changes between the 2 years, I can't imagine McLaren falling off in 2025. Yes. I really, really can't. If anything, I think they're just going to get stronger. I think they've got a fantastic team. I think they've done a great job together. And I think Piastri, will come home in P2. But you've gone for Norris in P2. I have gone for the winner of the Drivers' Championship as being Lando Norris.
You think it's finally his year?
I think it's his year. Now, I know I said in another video that I think Oscar Piastri could come out on top ahead of Lando Norris just in the inter-team battle. I know I said that. I know, thanks. But just, on reflection, I just think if Norris can learn from the mistakes that were made in 2024, I really do think he'll go on and win the championship in 2025. I just think he's got that outright speed. I think if he hooks it all up, he can be exceptional. I mean, look at Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
I think he pretty much just dominated that race, didn't he? And there were several races which he just dominated, and I think that McLaren is going to be super strong. And as a result, I think Lando Norris is going to be world champion in 2025.
Okay.
And you?
I've gone for the other Ferrari driver, Charles Leclerc.
You've gone for Charles Leclerc.
I think Charles Leclerc is going to be the drivers' champion in 2025.
Go on.
I thought to myself how it looked in the 2023 season, the first few races, where Charles Leclerc really had the upper hand on Max Verstappen, or was that 2022? One of the seasons where...
Are you talking about between Carlos Sainz?
No, between Leclerc and Max Verstappen, in Bahrain, how Leclerc just took...
Oh, in 2022, yeah.
2022.
When they were... Yes.
I look into those drivers' changes and, the car changes, and he was so dominant. He just made a few mistakes, but I feel like he's learnt from that now.
Okay.
I feel like he's a much more mature driver. He drives not on emotion, but he drives on instinct. And when he hooks up a lap, so well. And as we saw from Monaco, one of the trickiest tracks on the calendar, he held his cool and he won that finally last year. So
he did. That was a great race, by the way.
Phenomenal race. And so I have no doubt that 2025, he will be up there fighting for the championship, especially because he'll feel like he has something to prove with Lewis Hamilton as his teammate.
Interesting. Well, those are our driver predictions for the Drivers' Championship. What are your thoughts and what are your predictions? Let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, please feel free to go ahead and click that subscribe button. It always helps to have new friendly faces towards the podcast. And we'll see you all in the next video.
Yes, take care everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.